Thank you, Yemi Ajayi, for that backgrounder. And to discuss more on the local government autonomy, our guests are ready, and we have in the studio a senior advocate of Nigeria, Jibril Samuel Okutepa. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, sir.
Thank you, Demola, for bringing me here. And I hope that we'll be able to answer your questions patriotically, nationalistically, and in a manner that those who set up your station will listen and work with it.
Thank you very much, sir. Also joining us via Zoom from Lafia is Honorable Aminu Muazu Fata, National President, Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGON. He was also ALGON Chairman, Nasarawa State. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, and you are welcome.
Good.
Right, and from our Jos studio, we have Professor Dakas, C.J. Dakas, a senior advocate of Nigeria. He is also a professor of comparative constitutional law, international law and jurisprudence. He is also former Attorney General of Plateau State, lead consultant to the 9th House of Representatives Special Committee on Constitution Review. It's a pleasure to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria. Okay, and also joining us on the program is Comrade Ambali Akim Olatunji, President General, National Union of Local Government Employees, NOLGE. Thank you very much for joining us.
Bringing to forward the issue of local government autonomy once again. We pray that at the end of the day, we will be able to fix local government and we'll be able to fix Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. You will be able to fix local government and we'll be able to fix Nigeria. Before we start fixing, let's establish the basics why we are here. And SAN Okutepa is here. Let's hear from you. What does the Nigerian Constitution say about local government autonomy?
Well, I do not know what you mean by autonomy. If in the sense of autonomy means that he's on his own, distinct, independent, not subject to manipulation and control of anybody. Put it in a more jurisprudential context. By the word autonomy, local government is an entity recognized and set up by the Nigerian Constitution. In other words, it's a juristic person, the person who has a life of his own and created by the Constitution as a third tier of government. So by constitutional arrangement, local government in Nigeria is created or are created to be autonomy, to be run in accordance with the Constitution. But the problem we have is the propensities of Nigerian leaders, either at the federal or state, not to allow the local government to be run in the manner of autonomy as envisaged by the founding father of our Constitution. What do I mean? Local government as an autonomous arm of government cannot run itself. It must be run through human elements. And you call them the chairman of the local government. Now, this chairman of the local government, by the provisions of Nigeria Constitution, ought to be in power through what is called democratic processes. And when you talk about democracy, it means that in coming to power, they drive their sovereignty, their authority, their legitimacy from the people. Now, in several instances, and I have said it and I'm saying it here with profound respect, what we seem to be running in Nigeria as of today is civilian government devoid of the nascent principles of democracy, which means that in a democratic system, as defined by President Abraham Lincoln, it is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But in our context, it appears to me that governors of all the political parties appears to be political emperors in their respective states. So much so that when you see even what appears to be local government election, no other political party can win even a councillor seat. It's only in infinitesimal number of places that you can see that. In other words, it is because of our attitude as a people and as Nigerians that we have chosen to engage in what I call constitutional sacrilege, ignoring our constitution to the extent that we rule by the whims and caprices of those who force themselves on us, that we are seeing what we are seeing. I know, and it is a fact, and I'm sure the chairman of Algon will be nationalistically and patriotically enough to admit that most chairmen of local governments are forced to sign that certain amount of money has been given to them, whereas in reality, what is given to them is not even enough for purposes of running the local government. That is why the autonomy of local government has been strangulated by the selfish, primordial partisan interests of our political class. And unless we fix our character and our conduct as a people, there is nothing we can do than to keep lamenting. As far back as sometimes in 2007, the Nigerian Supreme Court and a series of cases that had come before the court had declared that it's unconstitutional to have caretaker. But on daily basis, our governors and our political leaders are doing and appointing caretaker with such audacity of arrogance in total defiance to Nigerian constitution, section 7 in particular, that the local government, local government by democratically elected system is guaranteed under the Nigerian constitution. There was a running battle even from Oyo that was current. It came to Supreme Court. So my problem is not whether or not we have autonomy of local government or autonomy of state or autonomy of federal government. My problem are the drivers of this autonomy who appears to be so much interested in the fruits that is due or that are due to the local government for them to effectively and efficiently run as a grassroots development. How many culverts and markets have been constructed by local government? Look at the schedule to Nigerian constitution. The functions of local government that, if maximally performed patriotically by those who have responsibility to doing so, you won't have the kind of slums and all the kind of filthy things you see in our various local governments. So the problem, in my estimation, therefore, is for us to decide and see whether as a people we are prepared to run an autonomous local government that is viable, that is people-oriented, that are not an avenue for pecuniary commercial interests of those in power. Because when they share the allocation of the local government to themselves, there are no consequences. How many local government chairmen, councillors, secretaries have been brought to book by those who have responsibility to doing so? And until we start seeing consequences being visited in our country, you won't see anything. And that's why, if you ask me, virtually everyone that comes to power in breach of Nigerian constitution. Meanwhile, section 1, subsection 1 of the Nigerian constitution say the Nigerian constitution is supreme, and anything that is done contrary to the provisions of constitution in subsection 3 is null and void. How many of our electoral process that defile constitutional due process have been nullified by those who have responsibility of doing so. And so we should stop playing lip service and political sycophancy to issue of autonomy. Local government in law are autonomy, but the operators of the local government have strangulated and struggled the autonomy of the local government. That's our problem.
Okay, thank you very much, SAN, for your opening remarks. And you have thrown us a challenge, which we will very well carry on to the chairman of, national president, rather, of Algon, Muazu Meifata. Please tell us, for the purpose of shedding light, what is the status of local governments across the country at the moment, and with regards to local government autonomy? Is it in operation in the true sense of it? Has it ever been in this republic?
Good morning, Nigerians. As clearly given in the background by SAN, the autonomy is there. That is based on the 1999 Constitution as amended. 3 tiers of governments. Then why are the other 2 tiers functioning so well? That is federal, state, and not the local government councils in the country. We all know the genesis. The set of governors, 1999 to 2003, were the genesis, when they made sure that local governments were crippled so that they lose their autonomy, in which they were also beneficiaries of this autonomy. All of us were beneficiaries when we were in primary schools. We know what local government was doing in terms of basic education, basic health. But because of their political interest, they made sure that JAG account was created. They made sure that no election centrally, no tenure centrally. And these are some of the factors that led us to the present situation. Now, only very few states presently, to be frank, are allowing local governments breathe. Some of these states you can count, like Nasarawa State, which I happen to be a witness. I was elected in 2018 till now. This governor has never interfered in our allocation. Rather, when we are experiencing shortage, he was always there to help us, to augment us, to come out of such thing. The same thing if you go to Lagos State, the same thing Delta State, the same thing Yobe State, the same thing Plateau, Edo, Kwara, Kaduna, and so many. But majority, they don't allow local government councils to operate as clearly stated by the Constitution. This I know practically because I do interact with the 36 states Algon chairmen and the FCT. And we do compare notes time to time on happenings in our various states. So this is the present situations, or these are some of the present situations local government councils are in Nigeria. But those that allow them to breathe, those that always aid them, guide them to perform their constitutional responsibilities, when you go to these states, you will see a lot of achievements being recorded by the local government council's chairman. Then why can't other states copy from these states? I'm saying this with facts, without ambiguity. Go to these states, you will see development. Go to any state that local government councils are allowed freedom or autonomy or partial autonomy to operate. So this is the situation now we are in Nigeria, and this is why we are experiencing a lot of challenges at the grassroots, unless and until we address these issues. And also the federal government too is guilty of this strangulation. Look at how the revenue is being shared. Only 18%, slightly above 18%, goes to local government councils. When the local government, 774 local government councils in Nigeria have more responsibilities to perform or to undertake than the federal government. And it is even saddening when even at the fact, local government councils being 774 are not being represented there. They only do what they want to do and then send down to the local government councils without their representation there. Likewise, if you look at the federal government, look at certain functions that ordinarily local government councils will perform, like provision of rural roads, basic health, and the likes. You see, what does the federal government, what does he have to go to local government councils in undertaking rural electrification, rural roads, and to basic health facilities? Why? Because they have surplus amount at their disposal instead of bringing this amount to local government councils so that they can perform optimally. They are not doing so. So everyone is guilty. What are we doing too? We at the local government level, the populace, we allow it to just go, the water to pass under the bridge. Why? Let us be praising those governors that are allowing autonomy to local government councils. Let others copy those that are not allowing local government councils to perform optimally. If they are allowed, we all know this issue of security, issue of food security, so many issues will be tackled at the grassroots. Because local government operators, they are the ones who actually know who and who resides in one area or the other. But they are not being allowed to do so. Also, when you look at the conduct of elections at local government councils, it's one of the reasons. Even if the state houses or assembly can legislate, but the constitution clearly states, let there be elected executives at the local government council. So let's threaten them. Let's call for the full implementation of that. Even if the other autonomy will not come, let the houses of assembly do what other states are doing. Very few states. Allow them. And then even if they will not allow the election to be conducted centrally, then let's threaten the six. That is state independent electoral commissions. Let there be penalty for the operators of such commissions. If they don't do the right thing, let there be legislation. Let there be, even though the laws are there, let us have the political will to implement these laws. And then we should also have a unified tenure for the local government councils. When a local government chairman comes in, he knows that he will spend 4 years and without any interference, then it will go a long way to address so many issues. But whereby when a local government council, even if he was elected just last year and a new government comes in at the state level, he will just make sure that the local government chairmen were being sent away. Like my state, I can always mention, when A.A. Sule came in, he inherited us from the previous governor. But upon all pressures, he refused to tamper with us. And even when our first tenure ended, he conducted election again before the expiration of our tenure. That's why we are in now. So why can't other governors do? What will it take away from them if they allow that? It will rather take out a lot of burdens on them. Because local government councils can handle that.
Thank you for your opening remarks, Honorable Muazu. I just wanted to get a little more clarification. You have mentioned quite a number of states as practicing either partial or full autonomy of local governments. And I begin to wonder, who are the governors who are opposing the federal government at the Supreme Court when government says, look, let's implement full autonomy of local government, including your state government. All 36 are saying, no, are resisting the practice of full autonomy. So who are those that are practicing it at the moment?
Like my state, they erroneously mentioned my state that the local government councils are being run by caretaker, which is not the case. So in the response, my governor, our attorney general clearly stated it to them. And I also mentioned Lagos. If you go to Lagos, there have been elected executives since and 4-year tenure. If you go to Yobe State, it is there. They were just sworn in few days ago from one transition to the other. If you go to Gombe,
thank you very much, Honorable Muazu May Fata, for your contribution there. Let's move on to our Zoom guest, Comrade Ambulu Akim Olatunji, the President General of Nolge. Let's have your thoughts on how local government are currently structured and governed in Nigeria. What are your thoughts? Are they in accordance with the Constitution?
I want to appreciate you, and I've listened patiently to other colleagues. Let me praise the intelligence and the courageous submission of the senior advocate of Nigeria. He has put the facts on the ground squarely. It is correct. Let me say, we only have 2.5 states practicing autonomy in Nigeria. One, it is state, second one, Jigawa State, and partially Rivers State. All other states have one level or another. Number one, most of the states in Nigeria legislate against Schedule 4 of the Constitution. All the collectible of local government have been hijacked. Number one, the issue of advertisement. State government has created signage agencies to seal the revenue of local government. In motor parks and garages, all the states in Nigeria have hijacked the collection of rates and taxes at motor park. Again, the most painful thing is that the Supreme Court judgment of 2003 clearly states that local government shall only participate in funding primary education. No state in Nigeria, apart from Rivers, implemented this judgment. So all of them cumulatively are guilty. The issue of saying my state is different is not correct. And again, what we are practicing now during electoral process and local government cannot be called a transparent and credible election. We only have 2 centers that implemented this. One, FCT, conducted by INEC, and the second one under Governor El-Rufai of Kaduna State. All other election and local government are charade, they are scam. So it cannot be called an election. It was coronation, appointment, and promotion. And they give way to a very weak political leaders emergence at local government level, who now serve as conduit pipe through which allocation meant for local government are hijacked and signed. The issue that is bedefiling local government now is that virtually all political office holders in local government have been turned to glorify civil servants. It is the ministry at the state level that pay local government political appointees salary. They are not independent. These are chief executives of local government who are supposed to determine the remuneration and the payment to themselves and their employees. That is not allowed. That is only a cover-up. Most states will call that meeting, sign document just like the son said, and ask the government to apprend their signatures. And what they do, they receive a lot in the morning. In the evening, the money has been siphoned. Most chairmen of local government are not signatories to the account open under that. So let us be frank. If we want to fix Nigeria, let us address it. No sentiment and my person. My state is different. To what level? Is it the state government that is paying primary school teachers in that state? That is not correct. In that state, is the only one party that exists in that state? Why are we having all political leaders in local government from one singular party? Is that a transparent, credible election? My brother, the issue of the all governors are united against local government. Let us be factual and be truthful. Most states in Nigeria, during the assembly, that send them to implement assembly.
Well, we seem to be having some audio challenge with...
well, we'll get back to him, I'm sure.
Yeah, we will, so that he can complete his...
But I understand that in Jos, Professor Dakas is ready. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Let me put you on the spot right away. I don't know how much you've listened in to the contributions of other guests on the program, but what is your own reading of the practice of local government autonomy across the country?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Okay, I was asking, what is your own reading? What is your assessment of the practice of local government autonomy across the country? Yes, we have it in the Constitution, but what do you make of how it is implemented across the country?
Question, unfortunately.
Well, let's come back to the studio then.
It's unfortunate. A question we've taken a bit from, I had asked the Algon chairman earlier if some states, in fact, he mentioned quite a number, close to 10 or thereabout, if they are all practicing partial, in any case, there's no room for partial practice of autonomy. If they are practicing some form of autonomy, to what extent is it? And who are those challenging the federal government at the Supreme Court at the moment?
Demola and Victor. Until we stop what I call sycophantic praise singing of leadership, we will remain in this very difficult situation. And with profound respect to the Algon chairman, I think he's playing politics with us. I know of very many states, including Kwara he called.
No, Nasarawa.
Including Kwara, get me right.
In fact, the situation in Kwara is that for 5 years now, they've not had any
local government. And even in Nasarawa, where he say he is, go to the 4th schedule to the Constitution. It spells out clearly the functions of local government. Is Nasarawa State performing and allowing the local government to maximally perform the functions constitutionally spelled out in the 4th schedule to the Constitution? For instance, signage, signboard, culvert, building markets. There is a law, signage law of Nasarawa State that vests the power of collecting this revenue in the Nasarawa State Board of Internal Revenue, not run by any of the local government. Who runs the Karo market? Who runs the burial ground? Those are functions
of the local
government, who collect revenues on bicycle, tricycle in Nasarawa State. Until we stop psychopathic praise singing of political leaders and start holding them accountable, we will not go anywhere. The problem we have is that when we are comfortably in a comfort zone, we begin to observe table manners. Look, there is no state in Nigeria, including, even, of course, Rivers that they call, that runs a democratically elected local government or allowed democracy to run. If it were so, just of yesterday, we saw what looks like gunshot and some persons coming out to say, in the face of clear constitutional provision, to say that when their tenure is expired, they are going to rely on the law that have been nullified by a court of competent jurisdiction, and that those who attempt to come there will meet their forefather earlier than appointed in the grave. And you are talking about democracy, democratically elected local government in that state. Go to Kogi. How many elections have that government in that state conducted? Even from the time of inception, like my brother said, the president of is it Norge?
Norge.
What we have as a system of government in our local government, and even a greater extent in our Nigerian democracy, is political coronation and not democracy. We must not deceive ourselves. And it is the deception we practice and claiming that Nigeria is a democratic state that is landing us where we are. No leader is held accountable. You see that even people whose code of conduct forbid blind loyalty to individual in the office come to national television to say, I am loyal to Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. Z. Our loyalty should be to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And if you ask me, it is on the basis of that I came with the bow tie of a national color. I'm unapologetically a Nigerian of both parents. I hold no any citizen of any other country. This is our land. This is our country. We must put it right. Things are not going well in the local government. If you see the manner, go and do your journalistic investigation of even the current chairman of local government that have been coronated, and see how unhygienic they have been put in operation of the local government by overbearing political godfathers who demand for kickbacks that go to their pocket. Why is Nigeria in the midst of plenty river always thirsty? We have resources. It's not being allowed to be shared. How many primary health care facilities do you have in Nasarawa State? In Nasarawa Toto, in Awe, in Kiana? How many? Let's go. I do not believe in achievement by advertisement. Achievements are visible. They are seen. Any government that paid to advertise its achievement is a failed government. Because you can see it, you can feel it. So, are we feeling local government in our respective states? I come from a local government. And I can tell you where I come from. I single-handedly put a 25-bedded hospital in that place. Indeed, when I was putting it up, except only one chairman that came, the rest thought I was coming home for political campaign. I am not a politician. I do not intend to be. But I love the comfort of Nigerians. Nigeria must be made to enjoy the natural resources given to them by God. We are not enjoying it. Go to respective local governments and see how people live in squalor. So let's not pretend about it. All is not well with the local government system in Nigeria, including Nasarawa State, including Kwara, including Kogi, including Benue. including all the states, even the so-called places that you said you have had election. How many political parties do we have in Nigeria? Have we asked questions? Why is it that in a state controlled by APC, only APC will win councillor, win chairmanship of the local government? On the basis of what? Performance? What is the performance? In the state controlled by PDP, it must be only PDP. So the reason is because we have glorified democracy rooted in thuggery and thuggish approach, so much so that the people of Nigeria are suffering constitutional infringement of freedom to their liberty. There is always on daily basis intimidation to fear. Political leaders are feared, and they inject fears in the people. That's why you don't hear them talk language of democracy. During the election, you are asked to go and deliver your polling units. What power do you have to deliver? Delivery of polling units is a function of the sovereignty of the people and the performance of those in governance. Do we have good governance at the local government? Now, I do not want to talk about the pending litigation in the Supreme Court, but I commend the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation for that bold step. But would Prince Lateef Fagbemi remain perpetually the Attorney General of the Federation for life? Will President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is attempting to think that there should be autonomy in the local government, remain president forever? When these people succeed in what they want to do, have we put in place a plan that sustainability that the Nigerians of unborn generation may not be infested with incurable iniquities of disobedience of our constitution? Because it appears to me, profoundly with respect, it appears to me that in this country, Victor and Demola, we believe and worship wrongs as right. So much so that wrongs has assumed a baptismal name of right in Nigeria, and then we even begin to put it in our constitution, in our electoral jurisprudence, that if there should be non-compliance, and you should then go to show that the non-compliance has substantially affected the outcome, why should we give room for failure? It is the room we give for failure in our laws and the interpretation we give for those failures and installing on popular leadership that has strangulated the democratic system we run. Okay. Let's face the reality.
Thank you so much.
We are running a militarized civil rule in this country, including at the local government.
Thank you very much, Okutekwa SAN, there for your passionate delivery of your thoughts there, and I believe that your thought is well stated, and the authorities are listening to them. So, but let's go back to our Zoom guest, where Comrade Ambali Akim Olatunji, the President General of NOLGE. I hope your audio is normalized now. We want you to complete your thoughts on what you were saying earlier on, and also give us some of the major challenges that local governments are encountering in Nigeria.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible now. Well, most challenges being faced by local government are linked to the deliberate attempt by the state political elite to muzzle down local government. Because local government is supposed to be the political leader supposed to have been breed. But because of fear of giving the power to Nigerians, hello?
Hear you, please. Go ahead.
Political government has been crippled. One of the fundamental challenges of local government is the determination of local. Once the process is transparent, it's not credible. Leadership emergence. And those are the people who are not accountable to the people who are accountable to. They are only to their godfathers. Number two, the issue of local government revenue against the fourth schedule of the Constitution has financially crippled government. So local government Hello?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Although we're having some challenges with your audio, I don't know if you can just do something to rectify it.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Because local government cannot assess fully allocation and the IGR, this has crippled local government financially. All the statutory functions of local government can no longer be met. And this has led to harrowing experience at the rural level. You can notice that there is rural urban migration, there's rural poverty, there's food insecurity, there's general insecurity at that level. Because of the lack of basic amenities that are supposed to have been provided by local government, we have infrastructural gap, rural roads are no longer passable, rural electrification has been neglected, rural health care has been forcefully hijacked by the state government through creation of primary health care development board, which has forcefully seized the role of local government in primary health care. Even the functional primary schools, primary education, has been hijacked using the instrumentality of state laws. They are now under the State Universal Basic Education Board. And this has also led to massive withdrawal of competent hands from local government system. People are not allowed to contribute their quota professionally to the development of the grassroots. Cumulatively, this is why Nigeria is sliding down, and that is why something on. We have to commend the courage of Mr. President, who gave a clear directive to the Attorney General of the Federation. This can be situated within the realization that in the last 1 year, all the intervention program by President and his government has not really had a meaningful impact because the structure through which those services supposed to be accessed by Nigerian masses are not there. What we have now is that the issue of social intervention, like palliative and others, hang in the balance. You can't see it because the local government are supposed to be the neighborhood government that delivered this are missing in action. Finally, we have a dysfunctional local government system that is so weak that cannot deliver dividends of democracy. And something urgent needed to be done. And that is why Nogi has taken it upon herself too to continue mass mobilization, mass rally in support of the case that has been initiated by federal government. If we are patriotic enough, we are nationalistic, we do know that Nigeria is not healthy. We can't continue doing the same thing this time and expect a result. Once we have a functional local government, the problems of Nigeria will be reduced tremendously. That is why we give kudos to Mr. President.
All right.
So once we have it, the problems, our problems will be reduced tremendously. That is talking about the issue of insecurity and that of food security and all that, just like SAN here also mentioned.
Well,
I think you should just go to Jos.
We can go to Jos now. Professor Dakas. Okay, now that we have you through, would you assess for us what local government autonomy would mean in practical terms?
The starting point for me is to underscore the fact that the local government system in Nigeria, in terms of the practice that is prevalent, is a travesty in most of the local governments, and I think that point has been made very clear. The other point clearly is that, as we say in law, res ipsa loquitur, it is self-evident. The thing speaks for itself in terms of the very parlous state of our local governments. But with particular reference to the question you have asked regarding autonomy in concrete terms, I'd like to bring to bear my experience when I had the privilege of serving as the lead consultant to the House of Representatives Special Committee on Constitutional Review, especially under the 9th Assembly. There were two fundamental issues of autonomy that were addressed. The first is the financial autonomy of local governments. The second is the administrative autonomy of these local governments. Now, let me conceptualize this and give you a sense of what transpired. In terms of the financial autonomy of local governments, the challenge essentially has to do with Section 162 of the Nigerian Constitution that makes provision for a state joint local government account. And so you find that in many states, they use the instrumentality of that provision to undermine the financial autonomy of local governments. Now, what the 9th National Assembly did in the context of constitutional amendment was to now provide that the funds that are due to local governments should go directly to the local governments. In terms of administrative autonomy, the amendment that was made sought to go beyond the very blanket provisions of Section 7 of the Nigerian Constitution. And it now addressed the challenge of caretaker committees, the arbitrary and unlawful dissolution of local government councils. And what it provided for was to reinforce the fact that local government councils must be democratic, and that where a particular state unlawfully dissolves a local government council or puts in place a caretaker committee, that such local government should no longer have the benefit of any funds coming from the federation account. These were the two fundamental issues of autonomy that were addressed in the context of the constitutional amendment. Unfortunately, and I'd like to give you statistics, in respect of financial autonomy, and keep in mind that the process of constitutional amendment requires that the bill is passed by both chambers of the National Assembly, it is transmitted to the states, and you need 2/3, which is 24 of the 36 states. In respect of local government financial autonomy, only 16 states voted in favor. 11 states voted against, 3 states abstained or did not clearly indicate what their preference was, and 6 states did not transmit any returns to the National Assembly. In respect of local government administrative autonomy, only 15 states voted in favor, 12 states voted against, 3 states abstained, 6 states did not make any returns to the National Assembly. So this is to give you a sense of the fundamental challenges that we face. And I hope that in the context of this engagement, we'll have the opportunity to go beyond the lamentations and focus on what needs to be done in the context of the current constitutional amendment in order to address the challenges that bedeviled the last exercise.
Kickstart that contribution in terms of what needs to be done. What are we not doing right at the moment that we need to now do to make progress? I said, what is it that we are doing now that we need to stop? What do we need to do to make progress in, enhancing the autonomy of local governments?
There was a recent national discourse on local government autonomy, and I had the privilege of being the keynote speaker, and I put forward a number of proposals about how to address this challenge. The first is that in the context of constitutional amendment, we need to take a look at the process of constitutional amendment itself. The current procedure is set out in Section 9 of the Constitution, and which is the section that says a bill is passed by the National Assembly, it is transmitted to the states, and you need 2/3 of the states, which is 24. And the first proposal that I put forward is that you need to go beyond what Section 9 provides. that you need to first of all amend Section 9 of the Constitution so that you now provide for a referendum. In a number of countries, including the United States, there are ballot initiatives. Since it is becoming increasingly difficult to get the states to come on board, you now need to amend Section 9 so that local government autonomy, for instance, can become a ballot initiative. And you can then subject this to referendum at the next general elections. Let us take this matter directly to Nigerians beyond what is happening at the level of state houses of assembly. The second proposal that I have put forward is that you can do a give and take from what transpired in the last constitutional amendment exercise. Most states, as I pointed out, given the statistics that I reeled out, were against local government autonomy. But on the other hand, you found that the National Assembly passed the requisite bills in respect of local government autonomy. Now, so the National Assembly is for local government autonomy. The majority of state assemblies so far are not in favor. But look at the flip side. The National Assembly is against state policing, the devolution of state policing powers to the concurrent legislative list. But on the other hand, the majority of states, so far there is momentum at the level of the states for state policing. So why don't we have a give and take? And I propose that what the National Assembly needs to do is to put in place what I call a strategic coupling of the bills. Let us have the bills on local government autonomy and the bill on state policing together. That way, states that are for state policing will invariably have no choice but to vote for that bill because they stand to benefit from the local government, from the state policing component. The National Assembly that is for local government autonomy can then pass the bill, and that way you find that, hate or tell, it is possible for local government autonomy bill to be passed because the National Assembly has something to benefit from it and the state assemblies have something to benefit from it. There are a number of other proposals that, if given the time, I will put forward in order to address this challenge that has been very recurrent.
Thank you very much, Professor Dakas, SAN, for your proposal there. Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And we're still discussing the autonomy of local government in Nigeria. And we have guests in the various centers here in the studio and also across the country. Now let's move on to our guest. That is the Algon National President, Honorable Aminu Muazu Meifata. Well, Honorable, I want to ask what steps, because you know we have laid the foundations of what the Constitution says concerning local government autonomy. Now, we're looking for a way forward now. What steps should policy makers, take to move towards local government autonomy?
Thank you very much. Let me just briefly correct the impression by San. I said why the two tiers of government are functioning well, that's federal and state. And I started mentioning why the federal government, where it is guilty. And I mentioned where the state too is guilty. I say even if the states are guilty, there are certain states that they allow partial autonomy, financial autonomy, and such states recorded improvement. That was what I meant. It was not that I was citing any state in the federation. Let him take this as a correction. And for the way forward, one, let there be uniformity in the conduct of local government elections across the country, whereby one independent body should conduct the election. And there should be uniformity in tenure. just like what the president and the governors are enjoying, let it be 4 years. Then moving forward, let there be removal of joint accounts so that funds can go directly to local government councils in the country. And let the 10%, as clearly stated in of IGR of this, be shared the local government councils. And then let those functions that ordinarily local government councils are constitutionally allowed to perform, let there be restoration of such functions like primary education, health, agric, security, and other basic responsibilities that allow local government councils to undertake developmental projects of direct bearing on people at the ground, which I mentioned earlier on, that we were all beneficiaries of local government councils being functional because we went through free primary education, most of us, where we were given free books, free uniforms, and even breakfast. All of these were being undertaken by local government councils then, when they used to have full autonomy. So let there be restoration of full financial and administrative autonomy. But with one thing, the state governments should have responsibility to oversee certain things, just like the way federal government is overseeing certain things, to ensure transparency, to ensure that rules are followed strictly, and to ensure that the local government council chairmen don't run foul of the existing laws. That would be guidance, guidance, as well as the expert guidance by people from the state and government to the local government councils. So let this be, and this guidance should be positive guidance, guidance that will bring SOCO to people at the grassroots. Let there be more funds at the disposal of local government councils so that they can tackle so many of these challenges, all these crimes, all this food security, and what I mean, the local government councils are properly funded by adjusting upward the sharing formula for local government councils from FAC, that is from the Federation Account Appropriation Committee. If that is done, and then let the local government council chairmen, let us be sincere to ourselves. Let us have that conscious zeal and passion for love of our people at the grassroots, to develop them, and to know that even if we not been questioned hereafter, we are going to be accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let us have this at the back of our minds. And then when we do this, and let each and every operator, let each and every stakeholder serving with the responsibility of seeing that local government councils function like they used to, be up and doing. Once we restore some of this, then there will be sanity in local government councils across the country. And frankly speaking, so many people will not even bother looking over it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayfata. You have highlighted a lot of points there. Because of the non-existence, let's just put it like that, of local governments, most Nigerians, they are always putting their, hope on the federal government. Everything federal government, everything federal government. And that is why, this conversation is very, very vital, so that for us to be able to correct a lot of things that are wrong in the in our country, not the Constitution now. So we're talking about the way forward. I know, Victor, you want to ask the SAN some questions.
He mentioned, the Algon chairman mentioned something that caught my attention, and that is the uniformity of tenures of local governments, state governments, and federal government, so that elections are conducted at the same time. This point, I know that the late Chief Gani Fawemi fought for this until his dying breath. He kept fighting for the uniformity. That how can you have 4 up, 4 at the middle, and down there you have 3? You know, I remember him going to court with a tripod at one time and trying to demonstrate how this tripod cannot stand, because these 2 are longer than this one. I remember that very clearly. And so this is one point that I take to heart. What are the other recommendations that you would like to make regarding how to move local government autonomy forward?
Before my recommendation, you know, I listened to my classmate, Professor C.J. Dakas, talking about the amendment of Section 9 of the Constitution. The problem of amending Section 9 of the Constitution will be the same problem that we have or now have in creating local government autonomy, because that section, if you may read, say the National Assembly, subject to the provision of this section, may alter any of the provisions of this Constitution. And then you say an act of the National Assembly for the alteration of this Constitution, not being an act to which Section 8 of this Constitution apply, shall not be passed either in the House of National Assembly or in the House of National Assembly unless the proposal is supported by a vote of not less than 2/3 majority of all the members of the House of Assembly and approved by resolution of Houses of Assembly of not less than 1/4 of the vote of all the states. In other words, you cannot alter Section 9 without reference to the states, and they will kill it. So my solution, first, is that I urge the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, the workers, NOGE, go to court, ask the court to make a declaration, and that any state that is usurping the functions of the local government as encapsulated in 4th schedule of the Constitution, that all things being done there should be dismantled by court order. 2, commanding that all those things being done by the states be restored back to the respective 774 local governments. Once it becomes an order of court, then it can be enforced, and tie the enforcement of those orders to the money of the local government that is coming from the federation account. That can be done by those who are directly affected by it. When you leave it for the local government chairman, they are not likely to do it because they are the appointees and coronators, if there is any word like that, of the chief executives. So final submission is that we must resolve as a people that Nigeria should work and local government should work. And that is why I think that it is high time we look at the quality of leaders we recruit and put in place at the local government. Any chairman of local government that have no respect and love for his people cannot fight for the autonomy of that local government as constitutionalized in the 4th schedule to the Constitution. When you go to all the states, the various local government functions that are spelled out in the 4th schedule to the Constitution have been hijacked, taken over by the states, and the states are not, allowing them to breathe. So we need to have strong leaders, and that's why, for me, I commend the efforts of the federal government. My commendation will go beyond this mere ad hoc something. Please, sir, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has nothing again to look for to achieve. What is required to achieve and do and make Nigeria great is to provide leadership and direction and deal with those who require to be dealt with without minding whose us is God and without thinking of political benefit of 2027. Nigeria needs to exist for us to think about 2027. And the foundation to do so must be laid by holding everyone who is in breach of the Constitution guilty, irrespective of the political parties they belong, and allow the judicial system to do their work. And I charge the judiciary to also note that there are judiciary in Nigerian soil going to the Nigerian market, seeing what Nigerian people see and suffer, and give succor by their purposeful interpretation of our Constitution that will hold our leaders at local government, state, and national level responsible to the Constitution. Let us not create room to say, just engage in little sin. These sins are not too much enough, but let us accommodate it. The moment we continue to tolerate an intolerable behavior, we will continue to sink deeper and deeper in this mess. So my recommendation finally, therefore, and I thank the Algon chairman of Nasarawa State who had gone ecclesiastical. There is no pagan leading us. All either we are Muslim or we are Christian. And the two holy books abhor and hate those who engage in unrighteous behavior. The iniquities of leadership in this country is what is crippling the local government. If we all resolve to respect the letters and the spirit of our Constitution and do things as the law says we should do, there is no need for anybody to reject autonomy of local government, because the Constitution already gives them autonomy. It is the operation of the autonomy that has been strangulated. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you very much, Samuel Okutekpa, SAN, for your submission there. That is, Nigeria must exist before we can have the 2027 elections, and we all must come to the table to do the right thing. Now let's go to our Zoom guest. That is talking about the President General of Nolge, Akim Olatunji. Now let's take your own, let's have your contribution concerning the way forward. What are the policies makers, the steps that they need to take so that we can have the local government autonomy in this country?
Thank you very much. Not only the policy maker, Nolge and patriotic Nigeria sensitize Nigeria, sensitize Nigerian that is right to have a functional local government system that is autonomous. Number one. Number two, Eric Maroli, by various governors, is the legal way out, which the president has taken the bull by the horn, which will be prayer to support the president to get justice and his government at the Supreme Court, so that once and for all, this issue will be legally resolved. Number three, we have already commenced what the SAN advised us. You look at the issue of the NFIU case that was decided at the appeal court. Not get joined the party. We were in court at the lower court. We were in court at the appeal court. We got the justice together. The judgment favor. Supreme Court. But it's a government, government. We cannot be able to join for. We are ready to do what we have been going to court against forceful hijacking of marriage registry. We were in court.
It seems we're still having some technical issue with that Zoom connection there. So, but let's go to our guest in Jos studio, Professor Dakas, SAN. Let's have your parting shots now because of time. Tell us the way forward.
Just very quickly, in response to the comment made by my learned brother Silk and classmate Jibrin Okutepa, I'm an apostle of referendum in the context of constitutional amendment, and I hope that we'll have some opportunity to address this in a more profound manner. But I think that as important as it is to have local government autonomy, whether administrative or financial, and I'm all for that, one of the things that we must emphasize is that unless we strengthen accountability mechanisms at the local government level, even if you ensure that by reason of financial autonomy, all the resources that are due to the local governments from the federation account should go directly to the local governments. If we don't strengthen accountability mechanisms, we are going to end up with a cesspool of corruption. So it is not enough to engender autonomy, whether administrative or financial. We must of necessity make sure that the accountability mechanisms at the local government are strengthened, so that at the end of the day, whatever funds are due to the local governments are prudently utilized for the benefit of the vast majority of the people that live at the grassroots. The Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, has begun to do something in that respect, but I'm aware that there is considerable resistance. And so this is something that needs to be addressed in a very profound way, so that at the end of the day, the ultimate beneficiary of the autonomy at the local governments, the vast majority of the people at the grassroots level, will finally breathe and will have the benefit of democracy in a manner that is profound and sustainable. Thank you.
All right. I think we should now thank, because we've run out of time completely. So let me thank you, Professor Dakas, C.J. Dakas, who is SAN, who is Professor of Comparative Constitutional Law, International Law and Jurisprudence. He is also a former Attorney General of Plateau State, lead consultant to the 9th House of Representatives Special Committee on Constitutional Review, in which capacity we have enjoyed quite his contribution today. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria. All right.
Also, we have the SAN, Jibril Samuel Okutakpa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for your contribution, your robust contribution today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Demola and Victor.
Also, we want to thank via Zoom Honorable Aminu Muazu Meifata, National President, Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGON, who is also ALGON Chairman, Nasarawa State. Thank you for your contribution, Honorable.
Thank you. Thank you, and you're always welcome.
And all the NOLGE Chairman, President General of NOLGE, Comrade Ambali Akim Olatunji, thank you so much for joining us for today's conversation.
Thank you.
All right, that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. We thank you very much for your time. I am Victor Azo. See you again tomorrow.
And I am Ademola Adeoye. I appreciate your company. Thank you for joining us.